Hello everybody and welcome back to Eddie versus the Algorithm, the latest series on the Fantasy Football Fix YouTube channel where every week I take on the algorithm or the computer. They put together their strongest team for the game week, I put together my strongest team for the game week, and we see who comes out on top every week. And it's been a very interesting week in terms of Eddie versus the algorithm. So without further ado, before we jump in to what we're doing in terms of our teams for game week 5, myself and the algorithm, let's have a quick recap about how we did against the algorithm in game week 4. And our team lining up in goal, we had David De Gea, who only managed to bag himself 2 points in that game against Newcastle, which was a bit disappointing, I'm not going to lie. That Manquillo goal obviously being the thing that wiped out De Gea's clean sheet. But we did kind of make up for that. We did have the double United defence, but Luke Shaw did manage to bag himself an assist in defence, which did kind of make up for it. The algorithm as well had Wan-Bissaka in, so actually it kind of worked out in our favour, despite the fact that the algorithm had Raya in goal rather than De Gea and not a double United defence. So it didn't go too badly at all. Duffy came through with another clean sheet, despite getting booked, still a solid 5 points from such a budget player, and I was glad I went with him in order to spread some funds elsewhere in the attack, as you're about to see and have a quick reminder of. Tierney bagged himself 7 points for both me and the algorithm, so we were alike in that. Spider-Man meme inserted. Yeah, we both went with Tierney. The algorithm also went with Rob Holding in a back four, who didn't end up playing at all, so he had to get subbed off for Brownhill, which of course didn't make the algorithm as strong in total in points this week. In terms of midfield, again, not too shabby, but again, not too brilliant. Salah and Gray came through with some returns. Jota and Sarr were pretty disappointing. I was pleased I went with Gray, because again, another fantastic budget enabler, and managed to bag himself a goal in that Monday night fixture. And then finally, up front, where it all counted really, and with the captains in, Cristiano Ronaldo came through with 26 points for myself and the algorithm. We both captained him, and I think we both had Salah vice-captain as well. So yeah, both very alike in that sense, but it was up front really that made the difference, with Romelu Lukaku for my team scoring himself 13 points. The algorithm, of course, had a 4-4-2 with Antonio and Ronaldo only up front, so we both had Antonio, who did seem like a very strong pick against Southampton, but unfortunately, as we know, he did in fact get sent off and is suspended for this game week coming. So yeah, in total, my team managed to bag itself 77 points, which wasn't too shabby at all. I've seen some better scores this game week, to be honest, so I would have hoped to perhaps be up rivaling the very best as I get to pick a new team every week. But yeah, I'm not too shabby at all. Certainly outbeat what I got in terms of my actual team, with Lukaku and Gray coming through, players like that I don't have. In total, the algorithm scored 62. So actually, we've managed to take the win this week, and that does make it 2-2 in the series so far. As of game week 4, it is 2-2. So I went 2-0 down, and now I've pulled it back to 2-2. So we're actually doing very, very well, and I'm pretty pleased with it. It's not too bad either way, but the algorithm team for this week is looking very strong. So without further ado, let's move on and jump into the algorithm team for game week 5. So, it's 2-2 so far in the series, and we're moving into game week 5 and seeing what the algorithm team has lined up for this week. And this is the one I'm sure you're most excited for, and reason why you're really tuning into the video. So I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into it and see who the algorithm's gone with in goal. It's going to be Raya, who's playing Wolves, and this is the second week in a row, I think, that the algorithm has gone for the Brentford keeper. Very interesting call. Brentford's stats, obviously defensive-wise, have looked pretty good at the start of the season. Personally, I don't think I'd be going with Raya. I'm not sure whether the stats are perhaps skewing the algorithm a bit here. I would maybe try and find the extra money. Obviously, Sanchez playing Leicester this week isn't ideal for a 4.5, but I think probably trying to get to Melier or Sarr maybe could be the way to go, even though Leeds have looked poor defensively. But to be honest, I'm expecting there to be at least Wolves defender in this backline, depending on formation. And so let's have a look. Yes, there's 2. So they've gone with a double up of Marcel and Semedo, and I covered both these guys on my Watch This video over on the FPL Phillips YouTube channel. So if you want to check that out, you can go over and look at that. It's like my second most recent video. You can also subscribe over there if you want to, and you want some more FPL content from me. Trent and Diaz as well make up the back four in this team. I'll be interested to see what formation this is going to be. Is it going to be another 4-4-2 for the algorithm? But Trent and Diaz, almost no-brainers. I think the thing with Diaz is Cancelo looks a very promising option. Obviously played very well in the Champions League last night at time of recording. However, Cancelo did play 90 minutes. And so does that perhaps make him under threat for the weekend in terms of his spot? Is that a risk worth taking, or is it better and safer just to go with Diaz? And the algorithm has clearly come to the conclusion that Diaz is the way to go. In terms of midfield, let's have a look. And it's a midfield 5 this week, so a 4-5-1 for the first time, and I think I already know who the striker's going to be, but it's a very, very bolstered midfield, and it completes triple ups from two teams, Liverpool and Manchester City. So Salah and Jota, almost a no-brainer. That Liverpool trio is the same that myself and a lot of people will have in their actual teams at the moment. And so yeah, at home to Crystal Palace, it is almost a no-brainer to have all those guys in for an algorithm team. And if you don't have any of them in your actual team, perhaps you still haven't downgraded Bruno yet, perhaps this could be the week to do it before you miss out on the Jota points, maybe, because they've got to be coming, surely. Grealish and Torres are some interesting ones, obviously with Pep now bringing back Foden and KDB returning as they did in the Champions League last night. It's interesting to see whose places will be under threat and who's going to be losing out perhaps to Pep Roulette. Torres, of course, playing more at the number 9. Does that make him less of an under threat? However, Grealish is one who's not been rotated at all this season. He's pretty much as close as you can get to a nailed Man City attacker. But it'll be interesting to see, does Jesus get limited minutes? Does Foden come on and play on the right? You know, obviously De Bruyne playing a bit further back does not put as much threat under these positions, especially Torres, unless they decide to deploy a false 9 with De Bruyne, who can play that role. However, I'd be probably quite confident holding Torres. I do have him in my team. I'd be confident of having him for this week. Grealish, so I perhaps maybe wouldn't be going for him as well. Maybe that's just one risk too many, but I could definitely see them both starting, and if I had to predict it, you know, it's almost a death sentence trying to predict Pep's lineup, but yeah, I would probably predict all 3 players in the algorithm I've selected would go ahead and be starting this week. And then Sarr makes up the midfield 5 again, retains his place last week from the algorithm 11 where he didn't manage to grab a goal. I also went with him. He blanked, in fact, and got 2 points. However, with Norwich away this week, an even nicer fixture for Watford, you'd have to say that Watford would probably be putting in 1 or 2 at least past Norwich rather, and the Sarr and, you know, maybe even Dennis, who is on the bench in this algorithm team, should be involved, even with Josh King now deploying himself up at striker. But yeah, let's see who's up front, and I think it's going to be no surprise, unless I'm absolutely mugged off. No, it is Cristiano Ronaldo, playing West Ham United away, who haven't looked awful, but it's Cristiano Ronaldo, and you kind of have to go for him. I was even more confident with the fact that, you know, Lukaku's playing Spurs, who haven't looked great, but even so, that is classed as quite a hard defensive difficulty fixture. Attacking difficulty fixture. Defensively for Spurs, it's very tough against Chelsea. But yeah, Ronaldo takes that spot up front. Not much really needs to be said about that. It's pretty much a no-brainer, and I'm pretty certain that Ronaldo, Salah and Trent will probably be nailed in a majority of algorithm teams from now on, where Liverpool have good fixtures, at least for Trent. But Salah and Ronaldo are very, very hard to remove at all. Let's see who the algorithm's gone with in terms of captaincy, though. It'll be interesting to see this one. And yeah, I'm not surprised, really. Mohamed Salah takes the captain's armband at home to Crystal Palace. His stats against that specific team aren't brilliant, but Captain Salah at home is almost a golden rule of FPL. Interesting that the vice-captaincy is on Trent Alexander-Arnold and not on Cristiano Ronaldo, which is quite surprising to me, but maybe that just shows. If you're thinking about captaining Ronaldo, like I was considering myself a bit, maybe he isn't as great as an option as he seems, and Fantasy Football Fix, his algorithm, is saying that Trent is predicted to score more points this week by the sounds of things. So yeah, that rounds off the algorithm team for this week. It's going to be very, very difficult. I really do like the look of this squad. I don't really think I would change very much about it, but let's see if I can tweak a few little things perhaps and see if I can come back with something that I think will just outperform this squad. So here is the team I've gone with to try and beat that algorithm 11 this week, and there are a few changes. Some of them I'm more confident of, some of them I'm definitely less confident of. We've ditched Raya in goal, and first and foremost, to get the funds for that, we've downgraded some of the strikers on the bench, Dennis, and of course Barnes as well was there, who's cost 5.5, so I just downgraded to Scarlett straight away, but we obviously changed formation, so that meant upgrading one of the other forwards. We've brought in Edison in goal to double up with Diaz. I went with Diaz. I did want to go with Cancelo, however I thought I would just play it safe. We've stuck with the exact same backline, in fact. Salah and Jota both keep their places, so does Sarr, but we bring in Rafinha of Leeds and double him up with Bamford against Newcastle away, which may be a bit of a risk with a double up. However, I do think it's worth the risk. Torres and Grealish do make way, mainly due to the fact that there's a risk of rotation there. Definitely a risk of being subbed early as well with Foden and KDB back. But of course, they could go absolutely ham against Southampton. But I would be more confident in the clean sheets. And so I wanted to go with a double up or perhaps even a triple up at the back. I did kind of want to go with Sarr of Wolves in goal. However, triple up on the Wolves defence just seemed like a risk, perhaps too much, especially if I transfer Tony out this week in my personal team. Tony's definitely going to score if I go with a triple up in this. If you believe in superstition, that would be jinxing it, so to speak. Sarr, I just couldn't get rid of him. I did think about doing Sarr to Rafinha and keeping a Man City midfielder and downgrading elsewhere. However, I just thought that if there's any week you want to go with Sarr and take a bit of a punt on him, despite the fact he's not really done anything since game week 1, I think it's this week against Norwich. And we've got some pretty decent cover on the bench for the money. Sissoko against Norwich is not a bad fixture at all for the Watford man. And then Williams, of course, if it goes the other way and we eventually get to Williams on the bench or somehow, then it won't be too bad if we do in fact end up having to use 2 subs. I don't think we've had to use a single sub from my team so far this season at all, but the algorithm has had to whip out a few subs one time or another. In terms of captaincy, I'm just playing it safe. I'm going with Salah. I'm sticking with always captain Salah at home, and then Ronaldo takes the vice captaincy for me instead of Trent, but I don't imagine that will be necessary anyway. You know, I could stick it on Edison and it wouldn't get used. I don't think the vice captaincy, although that would still be a pretty stupid thing to do and to recommend to other people. So yeah, worst case scenario, always stick your vice captain on the second best player you think is going to do well this game week. But yeah, I'm pretty confident that this team should be quite a high scorer this week. I really do love the back line, and I'm quite frustrated that I didn't get to show it off myself and brag about it because the algorithm has beaten me to it and definitely shown and picked the best back four I think you can probably have this week. Marcel and Semedo just look so key to Lage's side, and Wolves look so great going forward with the fullbacks involved, and so hopefully Semedo can start putting the ball in the back of the net. Same with Marcel, can he keep doing and continuing? He did get a bit lucky, but he was creating a lot of chances for himself and others in that game, and so he's very deservedly had a price rise this week. But yeah, that's going to wrap up Eddie versus the algorithm for game week 5. I hope you have enjoyed it. As always, let me know in the comments down below, who do you think is going to take the victory this week? Do you think Team Eddie or Team Algorithm is going to make it 3-2? Either way, this week it will end up being 3-2 to someone, unless for some reason we somehow get our first draw of the season. It'll be interesting to see if we'll ever get one in all of the 38 game weeks. But yeah, thank you as always to everyone who's tuned into the channel. You can subscribe down below to help support the channel, and also like the video as well. It does go a long way, and of course it's absolutely free. Also, you can get involved on my own channel over on FPL Phillips. You can join the Discord. You can do all sorts of things. We've been talking about UCL Fantasy. You can go that and find the link to that channel in the description down below if you want to see more of me. But of course, feel free to do that only if you want to. But thank you very much for tuning in again, everyone. And yeah, if you watched to the end of the video, comment down below. Comment, Eddie, you're an absolute madman. Thank you to everyone who's got this far. I do appreciate it. I don't know why I'm asking you to call me a madman, but there we go. I'll see you soon. Thank you for tuning in once more. Goodbye.